let's get going. We don't.
Okay, let's get going.
All right.
Alrighty.
Okay, and welcome everybody to Turtle Talk on These Changing Times Radio. And this is a pre-recorded podcast, and joining me is my wonderful, awesomely beautiful co-host, Barbara Threecrow. And if you've ever seen her pictures with the crows, oh my gosh, it's just, I have to say, I love that picture. Anyway, today we've got a couple of things that we want to talk about. There's a lot of things going on across the globe, and we want to discuss issues. We want to bring our perspectives to the table, and we want to do so in a way that hopefully opens up dialogue between everyone out there. We have to look at where we are today and where we want to be in the future, where we want to go tomorrow, what we can do to make a benefit for every living thing. There are a lot of issues that we're facing today, and we don't always all agree, but that's okay, because if we all agreed, I would have to think that we were already in utopia, you know. So, and I know we're not. So it's important that we bring our opinions, our perspectives together in a peaceful, open-minded dialogue, so that we can talk about these things. We can find the root common purposes that we all share. This is the most critical time, I believe, in everything that we've been doing over the years. We have a window of opportunity that I see that can allow us to implement all these things we've been talking about for years, or it can stagnate us. We know the drill. We know of controlled opposition. We know of Hegelian dialectic, of cognitive dissonance. All of these things are in play at this time. But there's something else that is rising through this mire, out of the muck. There are people who are rising above this, who are looking toward each other instead of away from each other, to build upon what we've been doing. We have an opportunity, regardless of what you think is going on politically across the globe in the United States. It has no bearing on where we go from here. What it does allow us is a small window, and I do say small, because we are in a finite time, and the controllers are moving full speed ahead. They haven't stopped. No election will stop them. No amount of changes in government policy are going to affect this global problem that we have. We are the only ones that can affect this. We are the only ones that can change this. And the only way we do this is by coming together and talking about these issues. There is a site on Facebook that I have joined, and I'm not one to join groups. I get pulled in groups all the time, and I mostly ignore them because there are too many issues that I am intrigued by, that I am interested in, that I want solutions for, than to put all my time and effort into this one group. But all of a sudden I get pulled into this group, and I'm saying, well, I'll go and I'll check it out. And this group is all about solutions. This group is actually talking with each other. You know, we all say we want sustainable communities. We want renewable communities. We want a monetarily free system that we can all be part of without having to be delegated to one one cultural aspect, religious aspect, or whatever. We want to be able to bring everyone together and talk about solutions that take us to the next level. Well, this site is the first site that I have come across where people of differing opinions, very differing, can come together and create conversations and discussions and bring in usable, credible dialogue to actually tackle the questions. Because a lot of people say, well, it sounds good, but where's your proof? How is this going to work? I hear a lot about us all coming together. Yeah, that's all well and good. But what happens when we do? What do we do? What are the steps that we take? These are important questions. We have to ask them, and we have to answer them. And I think now, because of what we've been through, and Barbara, when we were talking before the show, made mention of this, that no matter what you think of Trump, he has opened a window for us, and we can either take advantage of it, or we can wallow in the chaos that is ensuing because of it. There's always two sides to every story, and it does not mean that our hands are tied. No matter what Trump does from here, he has opened a window of opportunity to where our voices can be heard, to where we can reach out to each other. This is important to me, and I want to talk about this today. And I really think that we have the ability to get this done. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Barb, and give us your perspective on what you see happening today.
Well, thank you, sis. I always love being here with you. And I thank Zeitz for helping us pull this together as well. Yeah, I've been certainly right here with you all this months and years here. And looking at the rising of the imbalances that have been in place, but getting more severe, and the assaults getting more severe. And I was just said to you earlier, I said, no, it's not Trump. We've talked about that, but this is not just Trump. This has been going on incrementally. They've been moving us toward this moment in time. And to take everything away from us, really. I mean, they're hitting us and attacking us with everything they have for all that we hold dear. This is that moment in time that they have been planning. So here it is, from every direction, everything we could think about that is significant for our lives, for our freedoms, for the earth, for our children, our grandchildren. It's like boom, 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 1, 2, 3, boom, right off the bat. They're pulling the rug out from under us, but this is timely, and we've known that this has been coming. And yes, I feel that Trump has set a fire under everybody. He's set a flame going, and everybody's rising up with that flame, with that fire, whether they're outraged or waking up or raising their voices or whatever it is. You're right. This is, to me, a window of opportunity. Let's not lose it, because it won't last long. Like this momentum of the Women's March and everyone coming from all over the world, and all over the world also standing up, whether they're protesting Trump himself or it does not matter. There's a fire being lit here. This I'm looking at, I'm thinking, well, and I know you talked a little bit about some of the displays that were being shown. It's uncomfortable. It makes us feel uncomfortable because it's not how we are. It's not how we express our despair or our outrage or the way we want to focus on a particular change or what is wrong, These are choices that people are making. Maybe they were also incited or paid off. I don't know. To me, it doesn't matter. Some are saying, I'm going to talk about this in a moment, Soros has paid off a lot of the protesters, But he can't reach all of those women, all of those people. He just cannot. You have more than ever people marching all over the world and in Washington and all over places here in the country. He can't touch all those people. What I say is let's give the women credit and those men who joined them credit. And what my hope is that they see this is a window of opportunity, and that there's some wise ones there, grandmothers, like you said, wise ones, elders or wise women who have been marching and in this fight from the 60s and even earlier. You know, the Black Lives Matter people are calling out their elders who marched for their rights, civil rights, and on and on. So I'm just hoping that the women, after they are spent and get it all out, all their crazies, outrages, and stomping around and calling out Trump for his misogyny and, you know, and all that stuff, that they'll take a deep breath and that they'll look at each other and they say, okay, now what are we going to do? Let's pull together and focus on our communities. Let's pull back. Let's pull together. Let's stand in unity. Let's go back to our communities and keep in touch. But let's build this in our local communities. Let's get and keep each other's backs. You work on this issue, what fires you up. You work on that issue, what fires you up, and you on that issue. And so you cannot do it all because they're overwhelming us on purpose. They want us just spinning around, losing a focus. So we feel like, you know, maybe a lot of the women and people are feeling this tremendous assault from every direction on everything, like I said, that is so crucial and that we hold dear, that they're just spinning in outrage, you know, and it's huge what they're doing. So, but I'm hoping that they settle down and find a focus and come from their hearts and be wise and be smart about how to move forward from this point on and make a difference intelligently, not by the screaming bitchs that they look like, you know, out of control. That's what the media is focusing on. I was saying to Patty that I was watching Democracy Now!, which had a focus on women's speakers and saying really important issues, talking in a clear-headed, emotional but strong emotion, focused emotion, you know, not out of control, not calling names and blames, but really intelligent, wise, standing strong. I saw that, but, you know, then the other side of the story is there were embarrassing things that some were doing, you know, kind of like they all over the place and whatever they're screaming about. And I can understand their rage, and I do. And it's scary to some degree, but that's one thing we can't allow them to do, is to frighten us, to silence us, to scatter us, to confuse us, to spin us, because that's what they want to do. So if you want to be recognized as significant, as your voice, your perspective, your focus, the issues that you want to speak about and work on changing or shifting, you have to go about this in a certain way, not in, you know, with hysteria and rant. People aren't going to take you seriously. They're just not. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pinpoint the, I guess, the craziness of it all and not take you seriously. So you're not going to be taken seriously. You're going to look like just a radical person, just like they're trying to do with those of us who are, speaking the truth, conspiracy realists, I guess you'd say. They've always made us out to look like a bunch of nutcases, you know. So that's their agenda. So we have to be very wise in the way we present things. We have to find the truths. We have to do our research. But now we have all these people standing up, the fire is lit beneath them, and I'm just hoping and praying that they come together with intelligence, with wisdom, and not go off the deep end, because they will not make a difference. They will not be taken seriously, and we really have to be taken seriously. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, Patty, and I do want to emphasize that it's not Trump. He's just a puppet. He's been, of course, following their rule that has been put in place a long, long time ago, and they've been corralling us incrementally into this point in time. And I always say, nobody's going to come and save us. We are in this together. This is our time, the time of the people. It's all of us, black, red, yellow, white, all people, men, women, that need to come together now. We're the ones that are going to be able to make this change, but we have to be wise and intelligent and focused and not get overwhelmed. We can't take care of every issue. So pick the issue that fires up your heart, that you really feel strongly about, and work on that issue. And no, we have to trust that our brothers and sisters are going to pick up those other issues, and they're going to focus on those issues in their home territory, or for the, in relating to Congress and so on and so forth, and President Trump. Know that we're so many of us, many voices, but all one focus, and that's what we have this window of opportunity about. We could certainly lose this window of opportunity by going off the deep end and being just, insanely crazy and screaming our heads off. That's not going to help the situation. So we are given, I feel, this opportunity. Is Creator giving us this opportunity? I talked about that the other day on the Devin and Shannon show. I'm saying, I feel like Creator is at work. Creator is always at work in my understanding or understanding. I believe that Creator is always at work. So that's why I believe that Trump is significant here, put in place, whether it was put in place as God's chaos candidate. Maybe that's true, because he sure is creating chaos, but he's only playing the part, okay? So whether Creator's giving us this opportunity to pull it together, to become, a human family again, standing up for Creator's creation, the water, the mother, our children, all of life, because this is what's at stake here. So it doesn't matter who gave us this opportunity. It's right there. The door is opened, and I'm just praying and like to put out, to everyone, all the listeners, that not to feel hopeless, and don't have fear. Don't be fearful. Go into your heart and also look around you. Reach out to your community, to your neighbors. Start talking about these issues in a clear, mature way, and open those doors to see how we can all come together to make a better world, and shift this circumstance here upon those who are hell-bent to make this a pretty horrible world for everyone. Even those that voted for Trump, their passion of wanting change, their frustrations, their anger, many of them, there's a percentage now that's starting to say, I voted for Trump, but I'm beginning to regret it. That's happened already. That was a couple days ago I read this. But they said that even though they did, and they're maybe regretting it, it's the words maybe regretting it, I would still vote for him. Now, that's kind of a confusing response to me. Is it because people find it difficult to say, wow, I made a mistake. I was angry. I voted from that anger. I made a mistake. It doesn't matter, but it's okay if you say you make a mistake. The point is, we're all in this together. It's not just those people who made that vote, took that vote, that right to vote. It's not just them. We're all in this together. Whatever Trump's minions do is going to affect every one of us. And, Patty, like you were saying, yes, he's going to give us jobs, all right. He's going to get us jobs. But in the meanwhile, what those jobs are going to do is going to destroy everything that is about life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will destroy everything that is sacred, because I don't care who you are. If you are awake and you've been paying attention over the last, say, 17 or so years, then you realize that everything that has been done has been detrimental to us. And any time that corporate structure has the right of way, the people suffer. This is what we're dealing with. This is where we're at right now. That is another issue that Zeitz has just put in.
Right.
Trump is moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Is it a nightmare or type of mistake? I think that it is in direct agitation. He's doing it for a specific purpose, and that is to make a statement that he will do what is necessary to protect Israel. But I want to get back to what Barbara, something that you said. Now, I know that you were watching Democracy Now!, and I applaud Democracy Now! For putting the focus where it needed to be. They are one of the only news people, outlets, networks that have actually done this, because everything that I have seen so far in my mailbox, in my YouTube, on Facebook, is embarrassing to me as a woman of what I have seen from this march, Million Woman March. And it's a detriment to the people who founded this for the purposes of bringing awareness about the plights of women across the globe. To me, what I have seen is it makes me feel that I don't even want to consider myself in the same likeness as these people. What I saw was a complete embarrassment. There were no issues being stated. There were women walking around with vaginas on their heads. There were bare-breasted women, angry women, hateful women, and you have stars, Madonna saying she wants to blow up the White House. What significance does this have in recognizing that women have issues that need to be addressed? To me, what this is exactly what we're talking about, that the controllers have not given up. They have infiltrated. I don't care whether it's Soros-backed or not. They have infiltrated, created an anger so unattached to the real issues that we face, that women, because of what I've seen, have been marginalized. And I think I stated something to that effect, that the way things are going, the way people are reacting to each other, and the hate and all of this, we're all being marginalized, men and women both. Our messages are getting lost in all this hatred. It's about time that we got smart. We have a small window of opportunity. This is our time to make good on what we say we are going to do and what we want to do. If we back off from that and we ignore the real issues in favor of this anger movement without basis, and I mean that in the strictest sense. Nothing that I saw yesterday from these women has any basis in my reality. And the attacks on Trump, I'm not for Trump. I was one of the ones who were also saying that Trump is no better for us than any other president. This system is not set to fall or to collapse until it decides it wants to. And if it is putting Trump in this position, then they have an agenda, and it's not us. It doesn't matter how many things that Trump does that appeal to us. He is a corporate entity in himself. And there is not a single awake person out there that can, I think, argue the point that corporate is bad for us. The things he will bring down the pipe to the American people, I've said it before. Yes, he's going to stand by his word. He's going to bring the jobs in. He's going to do all of these things, and it's going to turn around, and it's going to destroy our environment, and it's going to destroy our lives. This is just the way it goes. We're moving toward a global agenda. It's not stopping. So we have to come together. We have to take, and everything we say and everything we do must be with purpose, must be clear and truthful. We must bring the issues forward. And I asked Barbara, earlier when we were talking, well, I told her, I said, I wish that the grandmothers would have stepped forward and been the only spokespersons, because with the wisdom of these women who have created this movement, we could have gotten our message through.
Right.
We should have gotten our message through. And right now, we're in a position to where we have that possibility. And it's not just, we need to stop concentrating on the sexes, and we need to stop concentrating on the cultures, and we need to stop concentrating on the political and the religious. We need to start concentrating on the unity. One voice for change, one voice to move forward, one voice of truth. Bring the issues to the table. What are we afraid of? We've been doing this for 17 years, some people longer. What are we afraid of? Right now, we have a voice and the people are listening. We need to be factual. We need to be open and honest. We need to be, if we want to preach togetherness, and we want to talk about unity, and then we want to go to the streets and we want to tear things up and we want to cause chaos, what are we sending? What message are we sending to the world? What message are we sending to the leaders of the world? That, yeah, we're kind of serious, but, we're just not very serious. We would rather yell, stomp our feet, and make a scene so that we're here, rather than tell you why we're here. I'm just kind of in a position right now to where I see two ways. We will either marginalize ourselves to the point of obsolescence, or we will rise above all this chaos, all this misinformation, all of this bipartisan, all of this crap, excuse my language, and we will make something positive happen. This is where we've got to be. If we're serious, if we are truthful when we say we want change, then we have to be truthful in our actions to bring change. If we aren't, then I wouldn't listen to us either. I would not take us seriously either. And this is the world looking at us.
Yeah, you have to respect yourself.
Yes.
You have to rise above the freaking out, screaming out, stomping around, tearing your hair out, screaming obscenities. You have to rise above that, because, as I said before, nobody's going to take you seriously. And it's just you. Listen, if you have anger inside of you, pull that anger in and walk in grace. Walk in a sacred manner, in a beauty way, and speak your truth. Use that energy in a sacred manner. Nobody there that I saw, except when I did see, like I said, I watched the site of Democracy Now! But what I'm hearing from you, and what I do know, because others have spoken about this, is that, well, nobody seems to be taking the message from the elders at Standing Rock, for instance. That be in prayer. We're protectors. We're not protesters, and we are in prayer, and we walk in that beauty way, and that is the power that we have. And you get sympathy. People see you. Yes, you've been attacked by water cannons and frigid freezing below, and you've been pummeled, and you've been hit with, rubber bullets and beaten with batons. But why do you think the whole world began to stand up for the people at Standing Rock? Because they saw the outrage and the wrongs being done to those peaceful, prayerful people. It's the human nature, is just the way people observe things, So if they were out there with guns and their own batons and sticks and carrying on and throwing all kinds of stuff and beating up the police and so on and so forth, you say, well, they deserve it, and some people were even saying that even though. But you had thousands and thousands and thousands of people from all over the world. It touched their hearts to see what was happening to those peaceful people. This is how we bring people together, not being like the perpetrators, not lowering ourselves to that nastiness, violence, out of control behavior. That's not going to get you anywhere, right?
We have a message. We have a clear and concise message. We have the truth behind us. There's no reason for us to step down from that. What we have to say, it affects every living being on this planet. We are fast becoming a race of yell-a-lots and do-nothings. And that's the way the world is going to see us if we continue along this track. We have got to bring our message to the forefront and stick with it. There's nothing else that is more important, I don't think, than us coming together in unity and changing our world for a beneficial future. If what we do does not bring benefit, if what we say does not bring clarification, does not bring discussion, dialogue, and solutions, then we are doing it wrong. It's as simple as that. If what you are saying has nothing to do with rising above what we are under this moment, then leave it alone. Put it away. It has no bearing on your future or my future. We have the information we need. We have the truth. We have the solutions. That's where we need to be right now, regardless of any political stance. We are the ones, I truly believe this, Barbara. I believe that we are the ones who caused Trump to run for president, not because he heard our voice, but because the controllers heard our voices, and we were making a noise, and we were changing people's minds. We were opening dialogue. So the best fix that they could come up with was to place somebody who could speak to every issue that is part of ours. And that man came to the podium and he touched on every single thing that we have been talking about for years. I do not believe if we had stayed silent that Donald Trump would be running, would be a president. This was done because we were being effective. Now, is Donald Trump going to derail what we want? Yes, he is, because he is a corporatist. And no matter what good he does, the bottom line for him will always be net worth. What is in it for the profit? And we know that profit is what has done us in. It is what brings the black snake. It is what brings Flint, Michigan and fracking. It is what brings Fukushimas. It is what brings climate control. It is what brings all of these things. So we have to, from this point on, start thinking with our minds. Start understanding, standing under, understanding why we are here in the first place, why we have been doing this for so many years. That's the message. That's the reason. That's the impetus for what we do.
Yeah, I'm with you there with that. And the other thing that comes to my mind is I said this to one of the women the other day when we went because we held a Dance for Peace on Saturday. And on our way there, I was saying, how many years have we been praying for change? How many years have we been saying enough is enough? How long has it been where we've been making prayers to awaken people to make a change for the good of the whole? How many times have we been talking about the corrupt government, how it has to change, how it has to stop, how it has to end? We've been making a lot of prayers along this line, So how does change come? Change isn't easy. But when you keep emphasizing this has to shift, this has to stop, this has to end, this has to happen, that has to happen, we want that, we're praying for this and this and this. However it's going to come, however Creator brings that, is out of our hands, But change sure is happening. Things definitely are shifting and falling apart. People are definitely rising up and awakening. The light is shining, and the darkness is not going to budge and move and doesn't want to lose its grip over what it has controlled for so long, so you have that issue. But when your light starts shining, you draw all manner of things to you. You're like a light and a moth. The moths and the mosquitoes come, right? I prefer the moths, but the mosquitoes come toward that outside light too. So which one do you prefer? But I'm saying when you shine your light, all manner of things come at you. One of those is the darkness that doesn't want your light to shine. So it's going to hit you with all kinds of things to put out your light, to dissuade you, to discourage you, to put fear and doubt into you. So your light gets dull and dim. So you just go back into your cave or your hole. The other thing that comes at you is the power of that light 100-fold, and it brings you more challenges to keep your light bright. Sort of like it's like a training. You want the light? You want the light to shine? You want to stand up and shine the light and make all things in harmony and balance here? You're going to have to be strong. You are going to have to really be strong now. So that light, let's say that goodness, or whatever you want to call it, God, Creator, it doesn't matter to me. I see it, that you get challenged to be even stronger if you want the darkness to get dimmer. If you want balance and harmony and change, you have to be very strong. You have to have your strong foundation. You have to come together in unity. You have to speak your truth in a sacred manner. You have to be completely different than the way you have been, fearless. So you get hit with two things, and our lights have been shining, and the light has been growing, and people have been awakening, and that makes the other side nervous. So they have to just let's get this going here, because too many people are waking up. Too many people's prayers are powerful. We can't allow this we have to keep our control. So let's hit them with everything that we possibly can in this moment to spin them even more, to frighten them even more, to separate them even more, to make them act like idiots, where They're not going to be taken seriously.
Yes.
So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and it's been done before. I mean, they have set us up so many times, and I have even been in on that, to where I've run with something only to find out later that it
You were being
was not
used.
right. Exactly.
You were being used.
Exactly. And you have a choice. If you want change, then fighting with each other, being more divisive, building more walls, telling your friend for 10 years that you no longer want to speak to them because they have a difference of opinion over what you know is a farce. The president, the government, come on. This is, if you want unity, if you want peace, if you want to bring us out of this quagmire and into a new day, then you have to walk that walk. Talk is cheap. But if you really want this change, then you reach out. You don't turn away. You reach out and you say, we have differences of opinion. Let's sit and find the common ground that we do have. What matters? Does it matter to me that you voted for somebody that I didn't? No. What matters to me is that we don't have clean drinking water. What matters to me is that the fracking is destroying our properties, is destroying our lives. What matters to me is that the people in Flint, Michigan, still, that the Navajo still have toxic water, and that nobody cares. Nobody's talking about it. Trump is not talking about it. Trump didn't even touch on it. What we've got to do is start overlooking the things that don't matter and start concentrating on the things that do. If you think that you have a right to shut someone out of your life and then turn around and say, I want unity, I want peace, and you shut that person out of your life because they didn't agree with you, then what are you telling me? If I'm listening to you, what am I hearing? I'm hearing that you're not serious about anything, that your talk is cheap.
Well,
And I don't want to hear it anymore.
It's the same thing. If you say, I want peace and I want unity for all, and yet you're pointing fingers at people who voted for Trump or what Trump is doing, and you're screaming like a maniac and you're losing it and you're spinning, well, pretty much that you've lost. That you've lost the battle right there. You're
Exactly.
just playing into how they want you to behave. That's separate. They want you separate. They want you fighting each other. They want you out in the street like maniacs so that they can bring in the police state. This is where they're heading. So if you're going to have all these issues that you're not getting clear with, and you're not settling down, and you're not coming together in unity and common ground and bringing a focus. If you say we all deserve good things, we all deserve peace, we all deserve good clean water, we all deserve harmony and balance and good food, and then you point fingers at other people and you start raging and screaming and carrying on, what kind of a person are you? What are you really saying? Just like you're describing. This just doesn't make sense, but you're being used, you're being played if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and take, for instance, you have a protest that had the opportunity to bring real issues, and they were yelling about the new president and the institution, his administration, being bad, yet they were destroying businesses.
Well, that was,
so
to
what
me,
is your message?
Okay. I'm going to talk about that piece, because I think that was a setup.
Of course it was.
I think they were all dressed in black. You have all of them crashing
black
the windows
masks.
and black masks and black clothes and black backpacks
and police standing back.
Yeah. Those weren't your typical people from your neighborhood out there, going to go on that march or protesting the inauguration day.
People watching this,
That's
that was
exactly
what the
right.
media focused on.
Deliberately.
So what did people come away from with that?
That's right.
Who were watching that?
So to me,
a bunch of anarchists, which that word, I wish they would stop using it, because they're using the wrong definition of anarchist.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
No, so you have those people out there, and you could say, yeah, they're angry at Trump. The day of Trump's inauguration, they're going to protest his becoming president, his inauguration. To me, I think it was just a lot of lost, wasted energy because the man he's his president. Let's get over it. Let's get together now. If you are angry that he's the president, what is it going to do? He's already president. Do you think your protesting is going to make him now, oh, gee, I better get out. I'm not going to be president anymore. Or things are going to change. They're not going to change. What's going to change is if we all pull together and make our voices heard in a common good way, together, smart and wise, and do the work that we need to do, in your own communities and together. That's what's going to make a difference. Not out there he's already in. Don't waste your energy. Put your energy where it really needs to be. There was one thing that I have to, I do want to mention because, and I had forgotten about this because I just quickly shut it right off because it was so revolting to me. It was so despicable. It was so vile and low. It made me disgusted. And apparently...
The attacks on his son?
Well, the attacks on, here's the thing, on his daughter. That too, the son too, that too. But this was a poem that was read at one of the rallies. Apparently some young woman, a waitress from somewhere in the country, I don't know, wrote a poem and she sent it to Naomi Judd. I'm thinking. And Naomi Judd read this poem. And I didn't hear her because I didn't put the video on, but I read what it said. And it made me, well, I don't have words for it, but just like your talk, and I was embarrassed. It was vile. It was low. It was disgusting. And they don't speak for me. That poem and what she read does not speak for me. But it was about Donald Trump's daughter, how in his dreams, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he has wet dreams about his daughter. I was I was just so disgusted. I'm telling you, I couldn't even read it further. It was all kinds of things about who I am as a woman, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even know what it was about. That's the piece that stood out to me. That to me, I don't have words. I just don't have words. I'm just
What would possess an intelligent woman to stand up and read something like that? I mean, this to me, Barb, is a clear. I can see clearly that these women who are in a position to influence other women, other people in their role as movie stars or whatever, they have a bigger responsibility to stick to the truth, to stick to the facts, to not do things like this. The fact that she did stand up and say this lets me know that these people are just as bad as the paid protesters.
That's right.
These people are put there. The Madonnas. The thing that really got me is that Madonna has gotten up there, a woman who made her fortune on sex in music.
Yeah, exactly.
Molly Cyrus made her fortune as an adult on sex in music. And these people are standing up on a podium in front of millions of women stating,
young people,
yes, that Donald Trump is a sexist whatever. To me,
pedophilia, they're claiming, to me.
Yeah, there's no credibility. None
no
whatsoever.
Credibility. No. It's very vile. I felt really disgusted. That was like I said, I'd kind of overlooked that piece when you were talking, but that's the only thing that I did see along those lines, except I did see a couple of posters with the vagina stuff and all that. But This to me was the epitome. It brought such disgust and wrongness about what I represent, what you represent, what the majority of us represent, and what we stand for, who we are. To actually read this poem in front of, I don't know, thousands of people and now the world, I suppose, to say such a vile thing about Donald Trump and his daughter. I'm just stunned with no words, because to me, I just can't even. It blows my mind, and I feel that, yeah, they are no better than those paid off people, to disrupt things, to corrupt things, to show the world that don't take us seriously. Don't take us seriously. I have more to say about it. I just can't find those words. I'm just
yeah, also, Barb, if you remember during Obama's administrations, people did the thing about Michelle is a man and all of this stuff.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, they say, well, they personally attack. Well, I didn't agree with that either, and I've never made a post that has anything to do with any of that, because I don't care whether Donald Trump is gay. I don't care whether he's heterosexual. I don't care whether he's bisexual. I don't care whether Obama is gay, bisexual, or heterosexual. That has nothing freaking to do with his actions in government.
Well, okay? Didn't they lose sight? That just swept away all of the issues that we are so concerned about. That was the main focus. Now that becomes the main focus, and people run with that. And everything that is legitimately worrisome, concerning, it's a matter of life and death for us and for our children and our grandchildren, just goes out the window with those kinds of things. They just, that's it. That's what they're doing.
You're right. You're exactly right. And that's where we are today. Isn't that a sad, sad, sad testament to all the work that we have done to bring the truth to the people?
Well, you shouldn't be proud. Those women shouldn't be proud of those women should not be proud of themselves. They should be ashamed and embarrassed. They should really rethink what they just did. And like I said, they don't speak for me, No. And they're missing the real issue here about what we really need to come together about. 2 minutes we have. We're going to take a break.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to leave this hour. I think we've just about covered. I think if we can leave people with the last message of this discussion, it is that this is our time to shine. So we will either rise to the occasion and prove ourselves for what we've said and what we've done these past years, or we will either sink into oblivion as just another movement of no consequence, of no message, and of hate and divisiveness. These are our choices right now, today. So we need to be clear on which side we are on. Are we on the side of all living beings on this planet and a future we can leave to our children that will be worthy of our promise to do great, to do good? Or will we step down, throw it all away, and result in chaos and anger, which is what the controllers are going for? This is our choice. We don't have to sink below. We can rise above. And there's only one way to do it. You cannot attack each other and rise above. Just saying. Go ahead, Barb. One last thing before we go to break.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is the time to make a difference, and it is the time of choosing. And you can either choose that one pathway that lowers you and drags everybody down, or you can choose the other pathway to rise above. What the controllers are pushing us to do is to become, inconsequential, a bunch of crazy wackadoodle people who have no, no meaning, no reasoning, and they'll just go on their way and do what they want. So there goes that. It's a time of choosing now, and rise above that petty crap, because it is crap. It's pettiness. It's really revolting and disgusting. And the sisterhood. You can have a strong sisterhood, and this is a time of prophecy. Talks about the women rising, returning, and leading the way. That's not going to lead the way when you stoop that low and become so vile in front of all, thousands and thousands of people who are looking to you for information, for guidance,
and for representation.
For representation, and to do the right thing for the right cause.
Exactly. Okay, well, we're going to go and we're going to take a break. And you have been listening to Turtle Talk on These Changing Times Radio with myself, Walking Turtle, my co-host, Barbara Threecrow. And, of course, I forgot to mention in the beginning, but Zeitz is in the back pushing buttons. And we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, boys and girls, that important day is almost here, Election Day, and we're counting on you to do your duty and vote. Yeah, your vote is statistically irrelevant and won't change anything, but it's still important that you participate in the process. Of course, voting isn't going to do you any good. It never did, and it never will. You know that. But we still need you to participate in the pseudo-religious ritual called democracy. And here's why. You gotta vote to keep up the illusion that the people are in control. You gotta vote for one or two narcissistic megalomaniacs with no soul. You gotta vote so when they rob you blind, they can say it was with your consent. You gotta vote so that when they lie, cheat and steal, you think it's you they represent. Yeah, you gotta vote.
I'm allowed to hide in a booth and press a button, and that makes me important.
Worried that you're uninformed and know nothing about the candidates? Who cares? It doesn't matter which empty suit puppet you support. What matters is that you continue to legitimize your own subjugation and enslavement by playing the game. You see, voting lets your masters know that they can do whatever they want to you, and all you'll ever do is pathetically beg for mercy. So pointlessly obsess over elections while they extract from you every scrap of wealth, dignity, or freedom you had left. You gotta vote to keep up the illusion that the people are in control. You gotta vote for one of two narcissistic megalomaniacs with no soul. You gotta vote so when they rob you blind, they can say it was with your consent. You gotta vote so that when they try and rule the world, you'll think it's you they represent. Yeah, you gotta vote. Repeat after me, boys and girls. You gotta vote. Choosing between two slave masters is just as good as being free. You gotta vote. The politicians only want power so they can serve you. You gotta vote. If we didn't have them ruling us, we'd be killing and eating each other. You gotta vote. Extortion and thuggery are good things when they're called law. You gotta vote. Hey, they're elected, so they have the right to do anything they want to you. You gotta vote. People who blindly obey the state are noble, upstanding citizens. You gotta vote. People who disobey the politicians are criminals and terrorists. You gotta vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. You gotta vote.
If you're finally ready to accept the fact that your vote means nothing, and if you want to know what is needed to actually achieve freedom and justice, then you need to read The Most Dangerous Superstition, available at Amazon.com or LarkinRose.com.
Okay, and welcome back, everyone, to Turtle Talk on These Changing Times Radio. And I'm joined by my co-host, Barbara Threecrow. and Zeitz is back there pushing buttons. And in our first hour, we discussed coming together and what it takes, where we are at this moment because of things that have transpired. And I want to say, before we go on, I want to say that I understand that a lot of us feel frustration. We have tried for so long to get our voices heard. We've had the mainstream media who had cowed down to anything that the previous administrations wanted put out there, and whatever they didn't want out there didn't get out. I understand the frustration. We're all there. But we cannot give in to that frustration. We cannot lose sight of our message and our goals that we set out for. We have an opportunity that we can't pass up. We don't get it every day. We fought for 17 years to get this far. People are listening now. The mainstream media is the one on the outside now. They are having to apologize for misleading the public over and over and over again. So we are winning. Let's not throw it away. This is our opportunity to shine, to stand up and say, this is the truth. We've proven it to you. Now let's move towards solutions. Where do we go from here? And so that's what I want to make this second hour about, solutions, which we always like to do. These Changing Times radio, the main thing that we are concerned with here is the fact that there are solutions out there, but we need to come together and have a dialogue and discuss these solutions. Not all, just because we come up with a solution doesn't mean that it's workable, that it's doable. It just means that someone has put enough thought and energy into finding a way through that this is what they've come up with. And when we come together and we start talking about this and we point out issues that are not being given the attention they deserve, when we point out reasons why this might not be a good idea, when we point out reasons why we are adverse, say, to one solution or another, then that creates a dialogue. And instead of meeting it with an ego that says, hey, it's my idea and it matters, instead we're coming together and we're saying, okay, so if this is a problem for us, then how do we get around it? How do we promote our message with solutions that anybody can utilize, that anybody, no matter where you are, no matter what the conditions of your life at this time, how can we come together and make this work for everybody? And what we found out is there are so many solutions that there is no reason why we can't move forward with solutions and start implementing them. In fact, we have. There are communities. A lot of people have gone together and created cities, whole cities that use renewable and sustainable ways of life outside of the monetary system. There are systems that have been created that utilize a monetary system different from the fiat currency. There are so many solutions out there, and we need to come together. We need to come together and start discussing how we implement these things. How do we get these things going? How do we start changing our communities and our environments? Some people believe that the best thing to do is to move to one of these communities that are already pre-built and operating. That's a good idea, but it leaves out a large populace because they don't have the means to uproot their lives and move. So what's the next step? There's a problem with this solution. So how do we create a remedy? Well, the thing that I want to talk about today is creating communities within your community. Being able to reach out, not just on the internet, which we've done brilliantly. I have to say, we have used this tool that was once used to control us, and we have blown it wide open. We have come together in ways that I would have never envisioned 10 years ago. Really, seriously. The amount of people willing to put their solutions on the table, have them picked apart, and put back together is amazing to me. TCT, we have a chat on Skype, and I do want to give a shout out to our members in the TCT fans Skype chat. Such a brilliant collaboration of minds with solutions, willing to discuss issues that we're not always agreeing on, but we come together and we actually discuss them in a way that brings clarification, that brings a better solution to the one we had before. It's not that we can't do this, it's that we haven't promoted this enough, I do believe. There's another place on Facebook. It's called Sacred Resistance. It's the group that I was pulled into. And as I said before, I'm not a group person. I have so much that I have to do and am getting done during the day that I don't have time to put into all these groups. But this one struck me with such a profound impact because I saw the same thing happening. I saw people who had questions about the solutions that were being proposed. People who were on the other side of the coin saying, I don't see how this could work. All of a sudden, we opened dialogue. We started talking back and forth. Asked the question, well, how would this work? Others put back into it, this is how this could work. Well, this is how it could work also. It is a brilliant site, yes. And please check it out, Sacred Resistance. I'm not sure if it's a closed group. I hope it's not. I didn't check. But if you need help getting in there, let me know. I'll get you in. This is where we do our greatest work. When we come together, when we put out all the biases, when we put out all the static that has nothing to do with our future and the benefit that we leave for our children, and brings together only the things that matter most, getting through this, the dialogue needed to find the solutions and then implement them. So I want to talk about this a little bit today, Barb. I've got a couple of articles, and let me see here. I've got a link. I'll go ahead and put it in the Skype chat, and then I'll post it tonight for our listeners so that they can check it out. This is one here, busting the myth that consensus with unanimity is good for communities, part 1. What it's saying is, well, I'll just read. Okay. You better watch out. You just better watch out. The community member rose from her chair as she said this, obviously distraught. She had just blocked a proposal in the business meeting of a real community I'll call Green Meadow. The facilitator, after conducting several go-rounds about its legitimacy, declared the block invalid. The proposal passes, he says. The member who blocked seemed stunned. Testing for the legitimacy of the block had happened only once before in their 13 years as a community. Theoretically, they had agreed in the beginning to use the principled block process, meaning the group determines whether a block is valid based on whether the proposal violates the group's underlying principles. Unfortunately, early members had failed to write down this decision. So while the community gave lip service to the idea that they used the principal block method, many Green Meadow members either didn't know they had the right to test a block for validity or knew it but were afraid to use it. This particular Green Meadow member had threatened to block numerous times over the years, which of course stopped potential proposals from being presented. It also stopped people from calling for consensus on proposals they were considering but knew she was against. And in the previous year, when they finally stopped being afraid to test for consensus when they knew someone objected, this member had gone ahead and blocked several proposals. Many had privately expressed frustration with her power over the group, partly because of her many years of threatening to block, and also in the past year because of her actual blocks. The phrase, "you better watch out," was still ringing in the room. "Excuse me, are you making a threat?" someone asked hesitantly. "What should we watch out for?" "What should you watch out for?" the Green Meadow member asked. She paused and then looked around the circle. "That you all don't trip over your own stupidity." Hey, wait a sec. They were using consensus decision-making, which is supposed to create more trust, harmony, and goodwill in a group. All the consensus trainers say so, but instead they had at least one member in high distress and everyone else glued to their seats in stunned silence. Not only that, for years people had been afraid to even bring up proposals they feared this member would block. Never again did the group test a block to see if it was valid, regardless of the belief that they use formal consensus. Some Green Meadow members certainly tried to test blocks over the next few years, but someone would always say, "But we can't prove we've ever adopted it," or, "But we haven't agreed on what our criteria are." So anyone who thought a block should be tested for legitimacy didn't feel enough support and ended up dropping it. Relatively frequent blocking continued. So this is what I'm talking about. If we come together and we form our communities, okay, and we come into this community and we decide the principles and the goals of these communities are set in stone, okay, then we do not use the principles that we set forth to judge, to open dialogue, to seek out solutions. Then we have the risk of everything we've worked for falling apart. This is the problem with most communities and why they do not last. The question was, how do you create a community that is cohesive and together enough to withstand the issues that will face every community? No community will be immune, because you can get a 99% majority, but you will have 1% in every case. Oh, we have a race going on outside or something. But in every case, you will have 1% or more that will be anti to whatever you want to propose. Is this a working model that we can use for communities? No, it's not. Are there working models for communities that do work? Yes, there are. What are these communities? I want to talk about them. I want to talk about this today. We have, I'm going to see if I can pull up my page here. Okay, this is just one. This came from Sacred Resistance, and it was in response to something very similar. that we were talking about, not the same thing, but in just getting a consensus of people to stand up and say, yes, I want this community. I want to build this community. And this is from I didn't get to, okay, here we go. A proposal for global renaissance. Okay, and this is, I've got the link right here. Let me get that. Copy and paste. All right, put that in the chat there. All right, and this is from, like I said, the group that I joined, and it's the proposal for a global renaissance. And it reads as follows. The time for activating coherent planetary co-creation is now. The time for collectively inviting in resource abundance is now. The time to make the blessed unrest visible to the world is now. The time to show all humankind how we can all live in abundance is now. The time for effectively inviting all of humanity into a new paradigm is now. The time to celebrate our global renaissance is now. Please share your resonance with the intentions expressed. There's a video that goes along with it in this video. The 4 intentions that they have outlined are your intention and commitment to serve the planetary transition into a global culture of peace, equality, freedom, ecological regeneration, and abundance for all. Number 2, your support for the open invitation to all transformational philanthropists, businesses, celebrities, institutions, and foundations looking to invest in our impending global transition into a truthful, peaceful, just, and healthy humanity. 3, your intention to support and or co-create the synergistic co-creation quest and the planetary positive news education. Your intention to support and or co-create a proposal for global renaissance. Please note that a list of pioneers in the video that you'll see if you go to this link is merely just the tip of an iceberg. If you resonate with the intentions and feel to be included, and they give you what you have to do to be included, you just have to simply write I am here and tag the fellow pioneers in the comments and share the video to help get it out. What this group is doing, this group is bringing people together, not under one community rule, not under one community doctrine, but all communities of different ideologies, of different ways of doing things. Some monetary, some non-monetary. There's no way that this should be a stumbling block. Those who wish to contribute in a community with a monetary basis, that's fine. It is in no way obstructive to the community next door that does not want to exist under a monetary basis. Both can interact together and find common ground through other trade practices, through what we call giveaway. In other words, you come to my community and you want to learn agriculture, and I say, well, I can teach you what I know, but what I really want to know is the inner workings and the construction and implementation of a Pelton wheel. And the person says, well, we've got that here, and let's trade information. Let's trade the knowledge and call it good. The one community that deals on monetary is not put out. They're getting something in payment. The one that does not deal in monetary is also getting what they want. There's no reason why this can't work. The biggest thing I hear from people is, how do we come together? How do you get people to agree? Well, We have the Venus Project. We have Ubuntu. We have all of these. I think it's in India. They have complete villages that have been around for 15 or more years throughout India, all over, not just one community, many communities who are totally self-reliant, self-sufficient, and utilize a system whereas they give back continuously as they take. All of these communities run on different perspectives, different ideologies. Some are religious-based, some are science-based, some are agriculturally based. All of these things are needed in each and every community, yet neither one is forced to adopt full-heartedly any of the other. Do you see how this works? Am I making any sense? Did I lose Barb?
I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
I hear you. No, you make perfect sense to me. Yeah.
The only thing that we have to come to the table for would be, how do we apply these solutions? What are the solutions? How do I apply these solutions? And where are these solutions advantageous, and where are they not? There's solutions for everything. There's also, I find this really amazing. MakeICT.org is a site which explains that they have I don't know what you would call it other than a workshop. There's a train in the background. I'm sure you're hearing that. That is setting up in every state. They're setting up a community workshop, so to speak. This workshop has the equipment needed for people who have designed free energy systems, people who have designed communication systems, people who are building woodworking, anything that you could think of. They even have 3D printers available. This is open to the public, and they do have a cost, $25 a month, and you are able to go to these places, utilize the equipment that they have, the lathes, the 3D printers, the manufacturing machines that they have, the electronics equipment they have, all open to whoever wants to go in and say you're like Shaziz, and you've created this unique magnetic energy system. And you've got it in a little prototype, but you want to take it a little bit further, but you don't have the funding for it. Well, for $25 a month, he has a workshop that has all the equipment that he wouldn't need to buy. He has the manufacturing ability now with 3D printers. He has all of this at his disposal, and he can go in there. No longer do you have to be stagnated with your innovations, with your inventions, because nobody is going to promote it. Nobody is going to support it. The people who are doing these things are usually in their garages, because science will not allow this type of technology to come to the forefront because it's controlled. There is a destructive system of technology that is king, and nobody gets in there with anything other than. Now we have an opening for people to go in and realize their inventions, their ideas, to be able to go in and work together with other people to find solutions. See, these are the things that we need to be talking about. These are the things that we need to be bringing to the forefront to let people know that we are winning. We are able to do things now that we've never been able to do before. There's enough solutions out there. there's another. Let me see if I can find my article. But is it this one? Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Open invitation to all transformational philanthropists, businesses, celebrities, institutions. Oh, that's the same one. Never mind. Never mind on that one. It'll take me a minute to find it because I've got a long list here. But what I'm saying is that when we talk, when we come together, when we bring the real questions, and we have people that are actually willing to answer these questions or to say, I don't know the answer to that, let's find out, then we make headway. Then we create a backbone for the projects and the futures that we want. Local communities start small. We can start small in our communities. Now we have the ability to where if, say, I wanted to take Shaziz's one of his projects, and I wanted to take it and I wanted to run with it over here. Now I have a place I can go to create that very item that I might need. Pelton Wheel of Technology. I might not have the money to go do it, but I can pay $25 a month and get my community in on it, and everybody can bring the things that we need to create it together. And then we can provide free energy, solar energy, wind energy, magnetic generators, whatever it is that we need, aquaponics, permaculture, all of these things. We can bring this knowledge to our very communities instead of just on the internet. This is what we have to do. We have to run with it. Findhorn. What is that? I'm not. Let me get that out.
It's Finhorn. It's Finhorn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there are many communities that have been very successful, and one thing that I've realized, what makes them successful is a foundation, a particular foundation. Of course, there's many, I guess you'd say you have a foundation, but then you have many tentacles or many threads to that foundation that are very significant and important. And this Finhorn has been around since the 60s, and it started with basically just 3 people, 3 adults, a couple and another woman and a child, I think the couple's child. And they, pulled together this idea. They wanted to start a community that would be supportive for their vision and goals about supporting people, children, and being what I always call our original agreement, which is stewards of the earth, And their vision is the Findhorn Foundation is a spiritual community, an eco village, and an international center for holistic learning, helping to unfold a new human consciousness and create a positive and sustainable future. They have programs like Living Education. Education at Findhorn is an experiential and transformative process, changing lives and changing the world. Also, co-creation with nature. The Findhorn Garden was famous, and it's very famous for this, for their 40-pound cabbages and so on, because the basis of the garden was, and still remains, to work in harmony and co-creation with nature. They've had experiences with nature divas, with nature beings there. And they had extraordinary things start to happen when they did learn how to communicate with these beings, with the elementals. They have, of course, their founding principles from the very beginning in 1962. The community was founded on the principles of inner listening, co-creation with nature, and yes, I feel a most important one is to be in service. So they have living education, co-creation with nature, and they're creating a positive future. They have community, eco-village, videos, frequently asked questions they answer. They have, let me see, their inspirations. I want to just look on here. Various workshops they offer, but it has grown from those 3 people over all these years to many, many people involved in Findhorn living there. But the key piece for me was their foundation is that spiritual aspect and meditation and communion, listening, of course, when you're meditating, but they actually support people to learn how to meditate, and it is one of the requirements of Findhorn is that people do learn how to meditate, and they do use that tool to to come into an inner balance, a calmness, a quietness, a connectedness to each other, and an ability to actually be able to listen and communicate with their environment. So that's one program or one group is Findhorn. They are known pretty much for their communication with the elementals and the gardens, the wealth that they receive from their gardens, And there's the other one here that I popped in. It's Damanhur, which is another spiritual eco community. This is quite an extraordinary story about Damanhur, how they started. I guess you'd say this man had a vision about starting to chip away at this mountain. This is in Italy, by the way, and make a cave. And he was just compelled by this vision to do this. And he had a few friends with him, and they just started with hammers and a few little tools. But now it has become a village within this mountain. They call it the Hall of all religions, I guess you'd say. It's a collective dream. I'm going to read here. Transformed into reality thanks to the creative power of positive thought. Its philosophy is based on action, optimism, and upon the idea that every human being lives to leave something of themselves to the others and to contribute towards the growth and evolution of the whole of humanity. It's a resilient federation with its own constitution, its own culture, art, music, currency, schools, and the uses of science and technology. Its citizens are open to sharing their knowledge and research with other groups and cultures of the world, with anyone who is interested in exploring these themes. Damanhur holds events at numerous centers, organizations, and points of outreach in many cities around the world, and also hosts thousands of visitors each year who participate in seminars, retreats, and courses through Damanhur's university. The community has attracted interest from scholars, educators, and researchers in the fields of art, social sciences, spirituality, medicine, alternative health, economics, and environmental sustainability. Damanhur is perhaps best known for its extraordinary subterranean work of art and architecture, a cathedral known as the Temples of Humankind. It has been profiled on international television as the eighth wonder of the world. This complex was entirely dug by hand into the heart of the mountain. It's decorated with mosaics, stained glass, sculpture, wall paintings, and other works of art. It is dedicated to the awakening the divine spark present in every human being. So, that's Damanhur, and that's in Italy. It's actually Canavese in Piedmont. So that site will go up as well, but you know, on the TCT chat. But to me, it's again the spiritual foundation which holds these communities together. And we're building a community here. We purchased our 103 acres 2 years ago now, maybe it's almost 2.5 years ago, after 15 years of searching. And we're just beginning. And our foundation, our basis will be a spiritual base. It's not about religion. It's just about the inner self, the heart, through, you know, communication with each other, also how to communicate, how to work through issues, how to move through obstacles together, how to be in relationship. And that's one key piece I have found is an issue. It's kind of interesting because over the years I would say to people, my goal and my vision given to me was to find land, to start community, to get off the grid, to grow our own food, to share, you know, our lives with people who will live there, but also people from outer communities to come in, to have teachings, ceremony. And I said, you know, joy, fun. We need to have more fun together. I said, I realize we're also overworked and overstressed, and we're all doing it by ourselves. And together, if we're working together, if we're playing together, and we're creating our food and a cottage industry or whatever it is that will support everyone, we'll have more time, not only for fun and joy, but creativity, because I feel that's a very important piece, is the creative gifts that people were given are being unused because people have to go out and get a 9-to-5 job or whatever they need to do to support themselves. So when you have that help and that support, so the spiritual basis is to help people to connect with the inner resources, how to be able to move through the difficulties that the community and certainly relationships. When I would say to people about the community and that dream vision, they would jump right up and say, oh, yes, I agree. I want community. I want community. And the next thing out of their mouth would be, but I need my own space. And I would hear this refrain over and over and over again. And I would say, yeah, we all need our own space. I like to have my own space too. But I started to look at that. I said, why do people immediately jump in with that, but I need my own space? And I realized that these people were not ready for real relationship, because now, the way we are all living, if you annoy me or if you upset me, I can delete you from my email, or I can hang up the phone on you, or I could just leave and go back to my little space and close the door on you, and I don't have to talk to you anymore. That's easy. I can just shut you right out of my life. But I'm not growing very much if I do that, and I'm not really in relationship if I do that. Because to be in a real relationship, to be really in community, you have to be able to come together, sit down in a talking circle, maybe use a talking stick, which gives everyone the opportunity to speak and others to listen patiently. And you have to be able to address the issues that are, working to keep us angry or separate, isolated. You have to be able to be in relationship, to open your heart, to open your ears, and to see that other person as a human being, as a sister, as a brother, who wants the same thing you do, but maybe is hurting, or maybe they're angry, or maybe something happened, or maybe you did something that ticked them off, but you didn't know it, or they the same way, opposite. But, you don't have an opportunity to be in a healthy relationship if you can't sit down together and discuss, address these issues, and move through them in a good way, until to talk about it, to look at it, to be responsible, to keep your heart open, your ears open to this person, and keep your eyes on that person to see this is a sacred being, and this is a troubled sister or troubled brother or confused or whatever it is, or maybe I'm confused, or I'm troubled right now, or I'm not, not in my center. I'm not in harmony right now. I'm angry right now. But you won't be allowed to delete that person or shut the door on them. What you will be allowed to do is come to a higher ground. You will be allowed to be a human being in healthy, full-blown relationship, to move out of how we've been living all these years, with our anger or resentment or the delete button or whatever, that's relationship to me. And I feel that that's what community is about. And so to utilize the spiritual connectedness or foundation is very key for me in how I understand this process.
Well, I do agree that there has to be anyone who is serious about making a better world, about living in harmony, has to have a basis in a connection to the earth, to creation. To me, this is something that is paramount. There are many different ways of expressing your spirituality, and there can be as many different communities. Nothing is out of reach. It doesn't matter why you want to, what ideology you want to base your community on, as long as it is in a benefit sense. In other words, as long as you are reaching for a higher vibration, a much more self-reliant, renewable, harmonic existence with life. And we discussed this a little bit on Sacred Renaissance or Resistance. We discussed the fact that there are many things that we deal with today that we have in our lives. Technology has given us. Nobody wants to go back to the dark ages. I am one of those people who don't believe that we have to. I believe that we have the ability to create technologies that will replace the destructive technologies that we have today. There is nothing that we have created in this destructive society that we cannot recreate in a renewable and harmonic technology toward the future. I was just looking while you were talking, Barb, and there are so many different communities. There's going to be a summit, global online summit, the Heartbeat of the Mother Earth, which will be dealing with this. It will be on February 6th through the 20th of 2017. This is something that we should all try to be a part of, because our voices are important. We need to ask the hard questions. We need to have a dialogue of solutions and of discussions of solutions, of ways of getting things done. Because even though we may have our own ideologies as to how we want our communities based in a spiritual aspect, there are still the other aspects that have to be considered. Which parts of renewable technology do we implement? Where do we want our communities to be? Do we want to be a totally agricultural community? Do we want to be a totally spiritually based community? Do we want to be a technological advancement community? Do we want to be a little bit of everything community? These are all things that will require information, that will require solutions in order to make these things happen. Hey, the good news is we have it all. We have everything we need. The only thing we don't have is the people coming together and talking about it and ironing out the solutions that will work, how they will work, where they will work, when they will work, all of these things. But that's simply waiting on us to come to the table to get ironed out. There's another site, Anthology of Ideas, on moneyless societies, collective evolution. There are so many different sites that we have. Guidepost of Light is another community that is being set up. All of these things, all of these communities, and nobody ever hears of them because we don't talk about them, because we don't come together. What we need to do is come together. We need to say, this is my community, this is how it's working, Barb, like your community, what you just said. We need to come together and start talking about these things, discussing the, sorry about that, I got my sounds turned on here. Okay. All right. That's maybe done. Okay. Let me get off of here because I'm not that good at turning things off. I can't always find the buttons, and I usually press the wrong buttons. But, there's no reason why we can't start doing it now, Barb, like you are. And these things, it's not like it's easy, right? It's not something that you're just going to say, poof, okay, we're putting together a community, let's go get it done. That's not how it happens. It just doesn't work that way. You said 15 years looking for land, Right. Zeitz can attest that I've been doing this for a long time, too, not quite 15 years, but a very long time, trying to get a community, because I have an idea on a community also, that we all came together, the Turtle Island Project, and we tried to implement it. Things didn't go well because there are no finances, and things are, but that doesn't mean we've given up. But there are many communities that, watch out for them grasshoppers. Yeah, that did happen, didn't it? They ate up my whole crop. We had we planted some heirloom garden, and them grasshoppers, boy, it was sad. They ate well. Let's just say that. But anyway, there's a problem that there's a solution for. We just need to talk about it and get that done. But we need to start putting our efforts into changing our communities that we're in right now, of getting the word out, of talking to people. And, people are more open than we give them credit for. When you go and you approach people and you say to them, how would you like to live in a more sustainable environment? How would you like to be able to know that your food is grown in such a way that it retains its vitamin and mineral content? How would you like to live in a community where you did not have to pay the electric company or the gas company in order to stay warm or to stay cool? All of these different things. People are open to that. People are very open to that. But if they're sitting in their homes and we're sitting in our homes and we're on the computer, they're right next door and they haven't heard a single solution. So they're sitting there thinking, well, there's nothing I can do. I have to stay in this system. I don't have any way out. Maybe it's time that we started bringing the solutions to them. And people are open. If you go to them and you say, hey, I want to talk about the president. Hey, I want to talk about the government. Of course, people are going to shut down. They're done with that. They've made up their minds or whatever, and they're not going to talk to you about that, and you're just going to start putting up them walls. But if you come to people with the actual issues that they face and you offer them a way out, a way to find a solution, they will open up and they will say, yes, we have common ground. We can come together on this. And that's how we start. That's how all these communities are started. But we're doing it and I think it's an awesome thing that there are communities all over the world springing up. And some of them are huge, like the Venus Project and such. Some of them are very small, maybe 6 to 8 people that are springing up. But if we can get with our communities and we can get the people that live next door, that live down the block, to come on to this, to see the solutions that are out there and how we can work together to bring them to our communities, they're going to stand up and say, yes, I want to be part of that. And in the time that we are changing our local communities, then the local the local politics of the area, they will have to see that what we're doing is making a difference in a positive way, you know?
Well, yeah, I know that people are doing this all over the world, and they're on YouTube everywhere sharing their beginnings, their issues, their solutions, how to build straw bale houses, how to build cob houses, how to build tiny houses, how to get water with solar. I mean, it's just endless.
Yeah, but
what
the thing
is
about
out
that
there.
Yeah, the thing about it is those communities you have to go to. There are people that are in the cities that aren't able to do that for whatever reasons, but they don't have to because we can bring those solutions to the city. That's what I'm trying to say, is that we're not impeded by where we live.
You shouldn't feel impeded no matter where you live. There are people doing this, and people are sharing their ideas, and even in the city, there are gardens, roof gardens now people are building. They're building window gardens, and there's websites on the window gardens how you can grow greens and food in your apartment windows, beekeeping on rooftops. I mean, it just seems to be more and more and more people are, in this movement. They're awakening to this, and this is a big awakening. They're taking control and charge and responsibility and getting out of that complete dependency. But, it takes community, definitely, to do that.
Yeah, here in my area, we're rural here. It's a hard word for me to say. I don't know why they created that word. It's so hard to say.
Rural. It is rural. A hard word.
Yeah, rural, But the people here they're big agricultural farmers. I mean, thousands of acres, da-da-da-da-da. Been in the family for years now. The corporate has the biggest interest in their own land and da-da-da-da-da-da. But the other people that live in the communities here, it's more of like a laid-back kind of country community, and they're used to going to the vegetable stand during season and getting their vegetables and such, which is a good thing. Their meat comes from meat lockers where they go here. One of the best practices they have is they go to ranchers around here who raise free range, and they purchase their livestock, and the rancher raises it, and then they take it to the lockers and stuff like this, so they know where their meat comes from and what is in there. But a little bit further, the people are still beholden to the electric company and are still beholden to the gas companies and things like this. The fact that we have better treatments for illness in the medicinal herbal realm and nutritional realm that is not being put out there. All of these things, people can grow their health in their home. People can grow it in their windows and things like this. This is what I want to bring to the people who are in this community where I'm at, this small community. We have area that we can turn into, like you said, a local garden, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it.
Yeah, I think you have to go to community meetings or the library and offer a talk on doing that, or to bring people's
Yes.
awareness to it. That if you want to do that, if you want to take that position, I know that, and I've seen, stories and videos and over the years about people doing that. You just start talking to your community, and they just say, "Oh, yeah, I am interested in that. Well, there's this old field over here, or this plot of land over here that's just a dump. Let's clean it up." Or these things have happened, and it's doable when you get enough people together. And I feel, yeah, especially when people don't have, like they're called barren areas where there's no real food. They have to take a bus or they have to drive so far away just to get real food. I mean, yeah, there's little stores where there's all this packaged stuff that is not healthy. It's not freshly grown and so on. So the people are in these barren areas, where they can't have healthy food. It's not available to them. All that they have are these packaged, dead foods.
Yeah, and in the inner cities too. I mean, there are people that live within these areas, these blighted areas and stuff, who have reached out, who have turned it all around and brought these inner cities a community that is thriving in abundance. However, they're still suffering from the bills that they have to pay, the prices
Right.
that they have
That's
to
right.
pay. Yeah,
Yeah, they're still in a way. They have maybe they've created that, they've solved that one problem, but they still have their own mortgage, they still have their own electric bills, all of those things, that they're dealing with all by themselves. That's really an issue, There's another thing that some people have been doing, and which I think is quite wonderful, and the food waste in this country, probably all over the world, is stunning, and people have awakened to that and have started collecting from restaurants and grocery stores foods that they just discard because it might have a little bruise or it might be outdated. And they start collecting these, and they set up these kitchens where they put the foods together and make meals, and then they take them out to people who don't have that, access to these, accessibility to good foods. But they're, instead of these really good foods, perfectly good foods, go into the dump, they pick them up. They start big businesses, actually. They grow into this wonderful business of service to others, and they're actually using these foods that would be waste, and, as just terribly wasted.
Yeah, and the greatest thing we have on our side is our ability to push back when we come together. It doesn't matter.
And I think also we have innovation. People are amazing. If you come together and you start talking about things, the ideas, the creativity starts flowing, and these are the solutions that are available to everyone. If you see,
it is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I often see people walking on the road. They're walking or getting exercise, but they have a bag along with them and they pick up trash. This is a solution, instead of going by grumbling about geez, look at the trash on this road. People actually are getting out there and picking it up.
Well, we've got about a minute. Yeah, we've got about a minute left, and I think that we got some good information out in this hour. And if you're interested in following through with this on tonight's show, when this podcast will air, we will post the links of everything that we've talked about today so that you can go yourself and read up, get an understanding of some of the solutions, of some of the things that have been done to lead us to a better, more sustainable, more ecologically sound way of living in communities that are sequestered, so to speak, as as well as communities that are outreaching. So there's something there for everyone. Bring your questions, bring your solutions, have your voice heard, and let's work through this. There are great things that we can do. We're not lacking in any of the things that we need to get where we want to go. We have everything we need for a future that we can all look to and be thankful for. This is our time to shine. This is our time to prove that we know what we're talking about, that we are capable of coming together, that we are capable of reaching a higher plateau. And all we need is each other. All we need is to come together. And we got this. We got this, Barb. And I want to thank everybody for listening in to Turtle Talk. And I'm going to turn it over to Barb for one last word and give thanks to Zeitz for the button pusher and for pushing all my buttons, which he does so well. I love you, Zeitz. You know that. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. And Barbara, take it away.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. And thank you always. He helps us so much appreciated. He stays awake to all hours of his night and down under there to listen to us. I just want to say, again, it's like we've often said this is, that we have something within ourselves to draw upon. It's ever present and not to be in fear during this time. Not to feel hopeless, and certainly we are not helpless, and we are stronger together. And this, to me, as we talked about earlier, Patty and I, this is a window of opportunity, and I feel that it's a most beautiful gift given to us. So that's why I have great hope, and I don't feel hopeless or helpless, because I know that this is an opportunity, and I know many of us are going to take this opportunity also. So I want to thank you, Pilamaya.
Pilamaya. And to everyone, thanks for listening. You've been listening to Turtle Talk on These Changing Times Radio. And we'll see you on the other side.